Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Dev, where today we're putting on our best outfit, doing our hair real nice, and putting on the good stuff to celebrate that one day of being in love, or recognizing the sinking reality of loneliness. That's right, Valentine's Day. So the plan is to create a game about bringing creatures together. In our case, something we're calling heart bugs. We'll do this by creating a lasso system to basically wrangle heart bugs together in hopes of finding a match. And just to add some spice to the mix, like a bad ex, we'll add an enemy to the game that'll attempt to ruin the player's good time. So grab your significant other or your favorite body pillow and let's get to the coding. Starting with our heart bug, we'll need an alarm, moving boolean, and variables for type, destination coordinates, and moving speed. In the alarm, a destination would be determined for the bug to walk towards. In the step event, the heart bug would then decide based on a roll if it wanted to move. Then using MP potential step, the bug would move towards its destination. This setup resulted in some really weird movement, so some of the code would need to be rewritten. First, the movement code was taken out of the moving check, and the moving speed would be determined by the moving boolean instead. Next, the choice to move or not was moved to the alarm event. And finally, when near enough to the destination, the moving boolean would then be set to false so bugs wouldn't walk in place. These changes resulted in far better movement behavior for the heart bugs. So with the bugs working as we needed them to, we could move on. Next up was hurting our lovely new friends. Get it? Lovely heart bugs. Anyway, in what I'd call the hooks, we need variables for movement speed and target for said hooks to latch onto. In the step event, if a hook has a target, it would then move with said target. Else the hook would simply continue moving in the direction it was spawned. Then in the cursor object, we check if the mouse is hovered over any bugs. If so, and two hooks weren't already used, one would spawn in the direction of the targeted heart bug. It was at this point I realized I was overthinking this way too much, so the hover check was removed and instead a hook was simply fired in the direction of the mouse. If the hook hit a bug, then that bug was hooked. If not, it was destroyed and the player could try firing another. Then to avoid any more position-related headaches, right-clicking while the cursor is colliding with a bug checks if that bug is hooked, and if it is, the hook is deleted. And finally, a line was drawn from hooks to player. This resulted in exactly what we were after, a simple way to quote-unquote attach the player to the heart bugs. So with that done, it was time to work on a way to bring them together. Back in the cursor code, if the spacebar was pressed, it would literally pull any hooked bugs towards the player's position. This was done using the motion add function, but to make things a little less static, I also wanted to add friction to the pull and release of bugs. So a pull speed variable was added to the bugs. Long story short, I still don't seem to fully grasp how motion add works, so some of the results from trying to make this work were pretty hilarious. After getting nowhere, I just resorted to using motion set and clamped the heart bug's pull speed. The speed would then vary depending on the pull status. The results were far more tame and less chaotic, though weird acceleration and movement still persisted. However, it wasn't anything crazy enough to break something, so I moved on. In the collision code for bugs to bugs, we'd pass the IDs to a new script. The script would then compare the types for both IDs. Basically, the type variable determines what the heart bug will look like visually, which then tells the player which of the two types are compatible. The script runs through all those possibilities and returns whether the two bugs are compatible. Back in the collision code, if the script returns true, the two bugs are destroyed and theoretical points are given. If not, the two bugs are unhooked and the player must try again. And to make things even more obvious, a nice result graphic spawns depending on the success of the match. And thankfully, all that work paid off because the results were just what we were after. Hooked bugs would only turn into full flashing hearts if they were compatible, and if they weren't, a big ol' X would pop up instead, and the two hooked bugs would be set free. So with the heart wrangling done, it was time to introduce our danger. The enemy would have two states, attacking and moving. If moving, the enemy would slowly turn its direction and head towards the player. It would also move at just as slow of a pace. The idea being that the enemy should be more of a hindrance to the player rather than a constant distraction. The math took some work, but we got there eventually. Next was to check for distance, and if close enough, the enemy would be placed in its attack state. The attack state would count down, and at 0, it would return the enemy to the move state. However, if the player is within range of the enemy while it's in the attack state, the game ends. And as evident here, the end of the player's run of heart wrangling is, well, the player won't be wrangling any more heart bugs, that's for sure. But to make this more of a game, we would need more starting bugs and more to come over time. So based on a roll, if the number was high enough, the code would spawn an enemy. Anything lower would spawn another heart bug instead. This process would repeat every 5 seconds. And there we had it, technically a game about bringing broken hearts together and making them whole, in gross bug form. And vicious consequences for letting some evil looming presence get you. And honestly, this was a lot more fun to play around with than I thought it would be. With some added work, it could actually be a pretty fun little game. Oh, and I also forgot to add the screen shake. Yes, I am also very disappointed in myself. But with that comes the end of this very special Valentine's Day themed episode of Let's Dev. So leave a like if you enjoyed the episode, subscribe and turn on notifications if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts on the project in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.